So we heard what Eric DeCosta had to say at the combine in his presser. We heard what Jesse Minter had to say at his presser at the combine. What do we got to say? How can we break this down and figure out exactly what every single little detail of what they talked about means? Because they brought up Lamar, they brought up Linderbaum, they brought up Isaiah Likely, and many other things. But you know what? I could tell you how I feel about stuff all day, every day. But in this episode, I got on a very, very special guest. And let me give you a special introduction to him right now.
The flock flies to the wise, it's a wonderful thing. Look what vision and commitment and some discipline brings. When 8 becomes 1, the mood swings and the flock sings for another ring. Man, we tuning in to Ingravenvids, set that scene tonight. Team, keep it clean, hold it down, the sparks ignite. A name in the lights, a North Star, ain't feeling far. When you run that north every year, that's just setting the bar.
What a perfect segue to bring on the person who actually made that song, Ryan himself from the Flock Rundown. How you doing, my guy? I appreciate you coming on for this. I appreciate you joining us, man. How's stuff with you?
Bro, I'm good, man. Excited to chop it up. We ain't even went live since that. We did that, sometime last year, like early season or something. Yeah, we
yeah,
talk
man.
about it, but I appreciate the opportunity for that, man. I ain't been making music enough, so that was a really fun, cool opportunity to do that and show some love to you too, man. You're the GOAT, bro. You've been paving a way in this space for a long time, for real. So excited to chop it up about everything going on today, and appreciate you doing the collab, bro.
And I appreciate that because with that song, and we gonna of course get into everything in a minute, but with that song alone, there was a lot of pressure. I ain't trying to put no pressure on you, but there was a lot of pressure, especially from Team Keep It Clean, because the song that we had before, and that thing was fire, man. It was fire. We loved it. It was like, okay. And that was really my first one that really it clicked. It was fire. It was great. But then there ended up being copyright issues. I'm like, really? But anyway, so when I asked you if you could do it, and you was there, I said, hey, all right, Ryan got it. But then when you sent me the song, I said, whoa, no, he really got it, like for real, man. So to be able to follow up what we had before and just bring that energy, bring that fire, it was amazing. So shout out to you, man. You say you ain't been making music. I couldn't tell you ain't been making music from how good that song sounded, man. So appreciate you for that, man. For real,
thanks, man. Thanks, man. Yeah, no, I appreciate the opportunity. It was fun. It was a challenge too, because you don't want to be like cringy, like you could be corny and being like too on the nose with the lines and stuff. So I was trying to find that balance. But I think it worked out. I like it.
It worked out for sure. And real quick, before we get into things, y'all already know what time it is. You already know who he is, but make sure you subscribe to the Flock Rundown. You may be watching this on the Flock Rundown, but make sure you subscribe to him. Leave a like on his video, subscribe to his channel, and make sure it's a requirement that you got the notifications turned on. So when he drops his updates, his daily updates, you don't miss a single thing. Now, Eric DeCosta, Jesse Minter, they both had press conferences today where they spoke to the media from the combine, and they had some very, very interesting things to say. Just starting off with Eric DeCosta, and what's been on everybody's mind has been what's going on with Lamar Jackson. Free agency is literally a couple of weeks away, and we haven't heard anything. We haven't seen anything. We know they talking and whatever, but there's been no movement as of yet. How did you feel about what Eric DeCosta said about Lamar Jackson and the contract negotiation to this point?
Yeah, optimistic about it. I mean, he basically said that we will get an extension or a restructure done. Restructure is not as good. You know what I mean? Like you push the can down the road. Also, the narrative won't change. Like they'll be like, why can't we sign Lamar? Like get an extension done. So I think extension's beautiful. That like frees up money, and we got Lamar here for a long time. So that would be the best case scenario. And I don't see why they can't get that done. And after listening to him talk, he seems confident, optimistic. He said that, I mean, he guaranteed we will get a restructure or extension done. I'm leaning extension. You know what I mean? Just because it makes so much more sense, unless there's just they can't come to an agreement on terms or whatever. But I think this deal should be easier than the other one. Like the first deal was his first mega deal, you know, and there's a lot of, and at that time too, I don't know if everyone remembers, but the climate for guaranteed money was bad because of the Deshaun Watson contract. Like, you know, Lamar wanted a fully guaranteed contract. Nobody was really getting fully guaranteed contracts. So there was a dilemma there. And I don't think that's, you know, since then, people still aren't getting fully guaranteed contracts. So I think this deal should be easier. Make him the highest paid guy, lower the cap hit, give him a fat signing bonus. Let's free up money and go attack free agency.
I like that, man. And something that you talked about, we're just getting it done. So we ain't got to get back to these conversations. Oh, man, they got to re-sign Lamar again. So if they came to, whether it be a 4-year, 5-year, whatever it was, if they could just get it done. Because, yeah, it frees up money, but it frees all of us up from wondering, debating, going back and forth, having these toxic, ugly conversations surrounding Lamar Jackson. If the Ravens will, if they won't. And it would just be, oh, it's taken care of. Okay, cool. We ain't got to worry about it. Oh, that's handled. Okay, it's all set. So EDC, like you said, he did sound very confident that it would get done. And hopefully it will. One thing that's interesting about EDC, and it's just a little side note. EDC, whenever he's talking about a contract situation, he never smiles when he's talking about it. He only smiles once it's already done. Once it's already then he'll be smiling in the press conference and stuff and cheesing and all that. But if he's talking about it, he just give you a blank stare, which I appreciate about EDC. But something else that he talked about. Did you catch what he said about the OTAs and with them being voluntary? Because somebody asked him, oh, EDC, what's your preference when it comes to Lamar Jackson being at the OTA? Do you prefer him to be there? You prefer him not to be there and whatnot? And EDC, I appreciated what he said because he really, really backed Lamar like crazy. And he answered, he didn't hesitate. He wasn't like, he didn't look around and had to think. But right away, he said, those are voluntary. He said, Lamar is a 2-time MVP. I think he knows what it takes to prepare for a football season. So that's what you want your GM to do. That I mean, obviously they in negotiation. So EDC gonna try to pretty up everything even more for Lamar, so Lamar can sign on that dotted line. But I did really appreciate him having Lamar's back like that.
Yeah, 100%. And I know that's been a topic of conversation recently too, after Declan Doyle brought that up, basically saying like, hey, if we want championship standards here, like everyone should participate in the offseason. And I actually, side note off of that too, I don't think that was like a direct shot at Lamar. I know the media took it that way. I just think he was just saying that in general, like, hey, we have a whole new coaching staff, like we're installing a new playbook, like it's important to be here. But also, to your point, man, like Eric DeCosta definitely defended Lamar. And it's true, too. You know, like, would all of us love for Lamar to be involved in everything? Sure. But, like, it isn't the end of the world. And he's going to get prepared. He's proven that year after year. So I think that, it's not a big deal regardless. But it's something to talk about. And Eric DeCosta definitely had his back, which, like you said, could be – I think he's got his back in general. I don't think it's just contract negotiations. You know what I mean? I genuinely believe that, like, they've been together for going on 9 years now. I think they're close. They respect each other. They keep things private. That's another reason that narratives take flight with Lamar is there's no agent. There's no like team controlling things. You know what I mean? And people don't realize that a lot of the stuff you hear from like Ian Rappaport, Adam Schefter, or the narratives that start flying around on different things is fed. You know what I mean? And it's not maintained by a team, and Lamar doesn't really have an agent to feed information or leak things or try to control or create narratives. So I think that sometimes things balloon and get out of control. You hear like Skip and people talking crazy, and it's just like it gets a little ridiculous. But Lamar obviously wants to stay private, and Eric DeCosta seems to respect that. Even listening to Jesse Minter he didn't talk about Lamar much. He's like, hey, yeah, like we're going to keep that private. You know what I mean? And there's a respect across the board within the organization and Lamar. Let's just keep things low key. We're not leaking anything. The noise is the noise, but we know what's going on there.
Yeah. And with Lamar not having an agent, that does allow him to have that control to keep things a lot more private. Now, somebody who does have an agent who is also in contract negotiations with the Baltimore Ravens, and it has been very public, even came out yesterday, but even more importantly today, directly from Eric DeCosta, said that he offered him a market-setting contract, and that's our guy, Tyler Linderbaum. I like to call him Linda Flinder because I feel like we family, but with Linderbaum, he has been somebody who's been the subject of a lot of debates amongst Ravens fans. Some Ravens fans say, hey, Linderbaum shouldn't go nowhere. Keep him. Then other Ravens fans say, oh, no, resetting the market for a center, let that man walk. Where do you stand with contract negotiations with Linderbaum? Do you feel like he should remain a Raven, or do you feel like the Ravens should be like, you know what, it's okay, you can go?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Ravens just showed their card. Eric DeCosta said that they offered him a market-setting offer, which means he's the highest paid center in the league. And if he's not immediately accepting it, or his agent, you know, obviously Linderbaum's probably just chilling at the crib while his agent does all the negotiations. But if they're not immediately accepting it, that kind of tells me there's maybe some guaranteed language hang up or something like that. But being at the combine this week, I think they'll iron it out. Me personally, I'd rather keep Linderbaum just because we have so many holes on the offensive line with the guard situation that I just don't want to create another hole at center. Like I'd be very uncomfortable with our offensive line if we go with a cheaper center, or maybe we draft a rookie center. Yes, we save money, like no doubt. Like obviously we'd have more cap room, but there's no better center available on the market, and there's no better center available in the draft right now. Like so you're getting worse, and I just don't think our O-line can afford to get worse. So I personally would love to keep Linderbaum. It is expensive, but that yearly number is kind of fake too, you know, like, yes, he'll be the highest paid center, but it's all about how you structure and, you know, do you give him a fat signing bonus and he's got a pretty low cap hit and we still can have a lot of flexibility. It's not necessarily tying us up. If we get a Lamar Jackson extension done, that should unlock around 30 million. We're already sitting at 22. That gives us 50 million plus in free agency. If Linderbaum's cap hits 12 million or whatever, even though his APY might be 20, like I think that's the right move, because we're going to get worse if we let him go. It is expensive, but he's the best center, man. Like, you know, or top 2, top 3 center if you want to debate it. But like, I just think that we have too many holes on the offensive line. I'd rather keep him, even though it's expensive. And the Ravens clearly want him because they just gave him the highest offer in the NFL for a center. So I mean, I think it'll get done here. You know what I mean? I think Eric DeCosta saying that kind of shows the cards. And I know sometimes he like lies, you know, they call it like a liar luncheon, or he throws a lot of smoke screens, but he's not gonna lie about we have made an offer. You know what I mean? Like that was a statement. I think that was good news. If you want Tyler Linderbaum, that's good news that you want to hear. And I expect them to work out the language in the contract that whatever's hanging this up, because clearly if you're making him the highest paid center, then that's satisfying one aspect of the negotiation. Like what else do you want? You know, so it's probably more about how much guaranteed money or just certain bonuses and things like that, which all being at the combine, because recently there's been a lot of talk about how Tyler Linderbaum's agent, Ian Rappaport, said this yesterday. Tyler Linderbaum's agent's not responding to Baltimore and things like that. Well, they're all at the combine this week, so they're going to have some drinks, talk, and iron this thing out. If he's the highest paid center, he's not going to deny that deal. So I think it gets done. But how you feeling about it?
I like it. And I like Eric. I think that was Eric DeCosta, not necessarily a response, but a response at the same time to that report that you talked about from Ian Rappaport from yesterday. Because Ian Rappaport, he reported something negative. Yeah, Tyler Linderbaum and his people's agent, they're not responding. But Eric DeCosta say, look, forget what y'all heard. This is what I'm saying right now. We offered him the market resetting deal, market resetting contract. So we doing our part. We doing everything on our end to try to keep Tyler Linderbaum with the Baltimore Ravens. So now it's on your end. So I just think that was a sort of public contract negotiation. But yeah, with Linderbaum, I want him to stay, man. I want him to stay. I've been adamant about wanting him to stay. Our offensive line, it was rough. And I know people will point at Linderbaum. Oh, man, he had a down year last year. And then he did have some down moments for sure. But then when I think about everything that was surrounding him immediately to his left and to his right, it's like, oh, okay, well, that makes more sense now why he had a down year. So I do not want our offensive line to regress. I do not want our offensive line to take a step back. I do not want our offensive line to go backwards. And I feel like if they were to do that, if they were to let Linderbaum go, or if he didn't accept the deal, because it does take two to tango, but if he were to move on, then that would be tough, because we could potentially be replacing 3 spots on the interior of the offensive line. And that's a big deal. I mean, we may even have to replace possibly 2 spots, hopefully 2 spots, but we're going to definitely be at least replacing 1. But to have to go backwards by 2 or 3 spots on the O-line, that would not be ideal. So hopefully they can get this thing worked out with Linderbaum so he can stay for the long term. But we'll see. I do appreciate what you said and what you brought out about how, despite what the average per year is, because a lot of times we can look at that, oh man, this guy making so much money, and but there are ways to finagle that. There are ways to finesse that to where just because that's how much they making per year, that's not always necessarily their cap hit. It's just all depends on it all just depends on how stuff is structured. Now, one deal that is already structured, it's already taken care of, it's already handled, it's already been signed. And that was even since the season last year, was that of tight end Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews signed with a 3-year contract extension in the middle of the season with the Baltimore Ravens in 2025. And when he signed that contract extension, a lot of us felt like, oh, well, I guess that's that. I guess that's a wrap. Isaiah Likely, it was nice. It was fun. But enjoy wherever you're going to be heading to moving forward. And then a couple of days ago, when Isaiah Likely had the interview with John Gruden, that made it even tougher. And the way that he was speaking was like, hey, Baltimore, I love y'all, but bye. He even said, hey, Baltimore is always going to be home. They took a chance on me. I appreciated them for everything. And he literally said, business is business. And it's like, man, I can't be mad at him. I am a little mad at the Ravens still, because I was hoping that they would re-sign Isaiah Likely. But with Eric DeCosta, today he talked about how it's still a possibility that even with Mark Andrews having signed that contract, it's still a possibility that Isaiah Likely can be in the building. Do you think that possibility is real?
I definitely think it's real. There's a chance. I don't know how high of a possibility that is. I would say that possibility is lower than like the Linderbaum deal getting done, the Lamar Jackson extension getting done, like the Isaiah Likely contract, due to a lot of things you were saying, like the Mark deal first was like, man, they're paying Mark $13 million a year, which is another, his cap hit's not $13 million. So like, and it's not fully guaranteed. So you can get out of it next year. So it's not, that deal's not as crazy as some people think. And I'm not mad about like keeping Mark, but I am mad about keeping Mark over Likely, Right. So I would like Likely to come back. That would be best case scenario here. But listening to him on the Gruden thing, I was like, nah, man, he already told his agent, like, I need to blossom. Mark showed me how to be a star tight end. It's time to flap my wings and go somewhere else. And maybe that's his goal. And if he gets that deal, like I think the Likely will probably hit free agency most likely, because he wants to see, like even if the Ravens extend him an offer, I just think him and his agent might hit free agency. But I don't think it's impossible that the Ravens can figure out a way to keep him. I just think that the likelihood's still kind of low. But I mean, I did feel better after listening to Eric DeCosta today. Like, when he was talking about, he did that interview last week and he talked about the offense. He didn't even mention Likely. He mentioned Andrews and everyone else. He didn't mention Likely. And I'm like, man, they really are moving on. But when he was asked directly today, he's like, definitely a possibility that we keep Likely. And I'm like, is he just saying that? Or, you know what I mean? Like that to me is the one where I'm like unsure. I still think it's a low chance that he stays, but possible.
Yeah, anything possible till it ain't possible no more. And I didn't even catch that from Eric DeCosta last week. But what I did catch from Isaiah Likely in his interview with John Gruden was when John Gruden asked him, "Hey, have you met the new head coach of the Ravens, Jesse Minter?" And Isaiah Likely said, "Nope." Then he asked him, "Oh, have you? What about Declan Doyle, the offensive coordinator? Have you got a chance to meet him?" Isaiah Likely said, "No." So when he said both of those things too, I said, "Oh yeah," especially with everything that you said when Isaiah Likely talked about with his agent and whatnot. But when he said he didn't even meet the head coach of the offensive coordinator, I said, "Oh yeah, that man is gone." Now this is one thing. See, this is why Eric DeCosta is so tricky, because he can get up there and he can talk and he can say X, Y, and Z, and it's almost like you got to pick what to believe. What's he telling the truth on?
Yeah.
What's a smokescreen? What's real and what's not? And yeah, with Isaiah Likely, it's a possibility, but like you said, and nice little clever wordplay right there too. He said the likelihood is that he hits free agency, and I would have to agree with that, because you can offer Isaiah Likely a decent deal, or you can offer Isaiah Likely something that may even be respectable. But when you think about what Isaiah Likely talked about when he spoke to John Gruden, Isaiah Likely, and you mentioned it, he said, Mark showed me how to be a star tight end. Mark showed me how to be a number one tight end. And he basically said, like, look, it was great, but it's time for me to go do that in an offense. It's time for me to be that guy in an offense. So while the money that the Ravens could offer him, it could be straight, I think opportunity could outweigh that, but also money from somebody else too. Because right now, I don't see the Ravens paying two tight ends top tight end money. And I can see another franchise, especially with Isaiah Likely, another franchise saying, "Oh, that Likely guy, oh yeah, he's pretty good." And Baltimore, they showed us what he can do, but they didn't even really show us everything that he's capable of. The only thing, in my opinion, and I've been saying this for the last 2-3 years, the only thing, in my opinion, that stops Isaiah Likely from being a top 5 tight end in the NFL is opportunity. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Isaiah Likely, over the years, he's shown he's a baller. Isaiah Likely, over the years, he's shown that he can play, and he is really one of them guys. But the opportunity just simply, it hasn't been there consistently. And obviously, when you have a Mark Andrews in front of him, and that's been Lamar Jackson's guy, that's been the Ravens guy, you can understand why, but the opportunity just hasn't been there for him. And if he were to stay with the Baltimore Ravens, I would just never see him getting that opportunity, especially with Mark Andrews still here.
How long does, like, because I'm sure you've been talking about it too for at least like 2 years now, where we would like transition from just volume and target share, to Likely from Mark. Like, it sways heavily in Likely's favor. There's like a piece of me that they could still, because Eric DeCosta did say today that they were negotiating with Mark and Likely throughout the season. He said that in the presser today. So obviously there's interest there. Like, I don't think that the Ravens are not trying to get that done. And the fact that they were negotiating both tells me that they do want both. And I think that there's still, like, my optimistic piece here. I don't think it's, high odds, but like, it's not insanely far-fetched because we can get out of that Mark deal in a year, like after this season or after next season, and not have like a big dead money situation or anything like that. So what if you could work a deal out with Likely? You improve his volume a little bit. You kind of, still have Mark and Likely there this year, but then you really phase in Likely like we've been wanting, and he gets that volume like fully, you know what I mean? And you convince him like, hey, you're going to be a focal point of this offense. I think he'd want to stay in Baltimore with Lamar. Even yesterday, Lamar tweeted, it was like a Bleacher thing. Somebody was like, Isaiah Likely will, and it was like blank, and Lamar tagged the Ravens and put like prayer hands and a heart, and it's like Lamar's advocating for him. I know Likely would want to stay here and play in this offense, play with Lamar. It's just about the opportunity. What if the Ravens give him some more opportunity and, sign both, but then usher out a Mark after a year? Like that's not unrealistic.
It's not, but it's risky. Like, if you're Isaiah Likely, do you take that lip service, and do you trust it? Like, all right, Ravens said they're going to increase my volume. All right, they told me all the right things, but can you trust that they actually going to do it? Especially in an offense that you don't even know, because they could say all the right things. Yeah. Cause we don't know how this offense is going to be. We don't know if it's going to be tight end heavy, wide receiver heavy, running back heavy. We don't know what the focal point of the offense is going to be yet, and maybe neither do they. So Isaiah Likely, he could take something like that and be like, oh, okay, Ravens, oh, y'all going to increase my workload and increase my volume. I'm going to get more catches, more opportunities. All right, great. Okay, how this offense going to run? And they're looking around like, oh, well, but that's why with free agency right around the corner, Ravens offense is not, because they got a little while to go before they really start.
Convince them now.
Yeah. So that's why I think just the money, obviously that's the highest factor in all of that. But I think certainly the opportunity is as well. Now, when it comes to money, when it comes to salary cap, a big part of what the Baltimore Ravens and really any NFL team can use if they choose to is the franchise tag. And that franchise tag is like a gift and a curse all at the same time, because whichever player gets franchise tagged, then, hey, their salary is fully guaranteed. They get all of that money, no questions asked, no matter what happens. It's all theirs, but it's only for 1 year, and that's it. So that's why a lot of players, they hate the franchise tag. They're like, no, don't franchise tag me. I'm trying to get a contract extension. I want to be taken care of for years, not for a year, but for years. Eric DeCosta said he doesn't anticipate using the franchise tag. Do you think that's a wise decision? Do you think there's anybody who would be reasonable to use the franchise tag on this offseason?
Probably not. Just it's too much. And the problem with the franchise tag is it's a fully guaranteed contract, but it's also the numbers also what the cap hit is. So you can't manipulate it. You know what I mean? So when you get a deal done, you can manipulate those numbers and the cap hit in a big way. But like Linderbaum would be franchise, because the only real contenders here, I guess, would be Likely and Linderbaum. Linderbaum would be grouped in with all of offensive linemen. So you're talking high 20s. That just doesn't make any sense. Like, he's not getting left tackle money. You know what I mean? It's a center. So, and they already offered him the highest paid contract. So I just, I don't think the franchise tag makes sense. Likely would be $15 million. Atlanta just franchise tagged Kyle Pitts. And for 15. And to me, that would be a move just to buy more time. Likely would hate that, because then like he has no freedom to explore deals. Like the Ravens basically put their clamps on the situation, and they're like, nope, like you're under our rule for the next year, and you either sign an extension or play on that $15 million. I just don't think it's likely. I actually don't think the Ravens will use the franchise tag. The only one that would make a little sense to buy some time is Isaiah Likely. The number's not insane. But if you're going to get an extension done, get an extension done, or sign the long-term deal. Like, I don't think the tag benefits us much this year. Some situations, sometimes it does, but this year I'm like looking at it, I'm like, I don't know. I kind of believe Eric DeCosta here. Like, the Ravens aren't using the franchise tag.
Yeah. I don't see anybody that they would end up using that franchise tag on. Real quick, before we continue, y'all make sure you subscribe to Flock Rundown, his YouTube channel. Leave a like on the video, on the live stream. Because this was fun, man. This was fun. And this was all his idea. I could take no credit for this whatsoever. So shout out to Ryan for being willing to come on with us. And shout out to him for being able to be so adaptable and call the audible. So we over here live streaming right now in the middle of a Tuesday for everybody.
You went with it. And you asked me to come on too, so I appreciate that. But then, I was like, when we set the time to record, I was like, I just seen that there's a press conference like right when we're recording. I was like, maybe we should just talk about that.
Yeah, man. So shout out to Ryan, man. He's a head coach. I'm just a coordinator, man. We call shots, man. So and I see there's been some confusion in the comment section, because there's some people on your channel, some people on our channel. We're just one big happy family, baby. We live streaming on both channels all at the same time. Now, speaking of confusion, somebody that a lot of Ravens fans are confused about and his status with the Baltimore Ravens moving forward is Marlon Humphrey. Because Marlon Humphrey, last year it was rough. In my opinion, last year was probably, in my opinion, it was his worst season maybe ever since he came into the league, and he's been with the Ravens since 2017. I just think last year, and I know he dealt with injuries, but Marlon Humphrey was he was very, very boom or bust. And that's something that we felt throughout the season, because he would make some nice plays. He had a forced fumble on Breece Hall. He'll make a nice interception here, there. But Marlon Humphrey last year, he was getting beat more than ever. And it could have been for a lot of different reasons, but it happened. Eric DeCosta, he spoke about Marlon Humphrey, and he said that he envisions Marlon Humphrey being on this team. And when he said that, I said, oh, okay. I wouldn't necessarily expect him to say otherwise, but at the same time, we do know there are ways to get it done. Marlon Humphrey has a significant cap hit this year. How do you think? Oh, real quick, appreciate that guy like Creations. He just sent 5 channel memberships to people on the channel. I appreciate you doing that. Thank you, man. That's love right there. I appreciate that. But how do you envision them handling the Marlon Humphrey situation? Because that's what it feels like it is. It's a situation. Got 1 year left on his deal. High cap hit. What do you think they do there?
Yeah, I think if they didn't already restructure it and have so many void years already tossed into his contract, then he would be like a high odds release candidate. But his contract's kind of a mess. Like, the Ravens already pushed the can down the road on his contract last year when they restructured it and erased his cap hit, basically. So I think he stays. They're going to have to, because the situation, basically, I think you get around $7 million if you cut him before free agency. But if you cut him after June 1st, you get $20 million, which sounds amazing. But who needs $20 million after June 1st? Like, all the free agents are signed.
That's the tricky part.
So I just think they're going to keep him, but I do think they have to rework the contract, because he's due a $4 million roster bonus on March 15th. He's due a ton of cash this year. He has a bigger cap hit. So I do think Marlon stays because of the contract, but I think they have to modify it. So they're going to have to restructure it. Maybe he gets like a 1 year extension or something where they can spread things out. I don't exactly know how they're going to restructure it. They're smarter than I am with cap, savings and all that. But his contract's ugly and it's not that reworkable. And I think we got to keep him. And then we're going to have to rely on putting him in the best situation. Hopefully praying for a healthy season from him. I think he can be better than he was last year if he was healthier. I also think he'll be better than he was last year if we can get to the quarterback faster. And I'm not absolving Marlon Humphrey's play last year. Like, you're right, man. Like, that was not a good season from him, from our secondary in general, honestly. And I just think it's a combination of who we had at coordinator. We weren't able to adjust as much in game, Zach Orr being a new defensive coordinator. And then also just the absolute lack of pass rush kills a secondary. And you saw even like Wiggins and people were getting torched through, like, randomly throughout. I mean, our pass defense was terrible and we got first round picks fluttered through our secondary. So if we can improve the pass rush, get to the quarterback faster, I just believe Minter's going to have the guys in the right spot. I think you'll see a much better season from Humphrey. Doesn't mean, I don't know if we're getting a prime season from Humphrey, but I think we can put him in some better spots where he can have a better year than last year. And if we rework that contract, we may be able to get a little bit of savings and then also, keep him on the team. So I do think he stays, just hoping for a much better season than last year. Yeah. What about you?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And what you mentioned about Jesse Minter, just putting Marlon Humphrey in better positions to have success. With Zach Orr, he was very, very young, came up with the Ravens, literally undrafted free agent of the Ravens, ended up being an all-pro, then, of course, retired due to the neck injury. So he had those ties to the Baltimore Ravens. He had that relationship with the team, with John Harbaugh. So that's why it ended up being so special. But I just think he may have been thrown in there maybe a bit too early. And, hey, you got to start somewhere. But it obviously didn't end up working out. So now he's over in Seattle. I think he's a linebacker coach over there. So now he's going to kind of start over, take a step back, and then I'm sure he'll be a defensive coordinator again one day. But, yeah, like you talked about with the adjustments, it was something that we definitely struggled with big time. There were some good stretches, but overall, the defense and the scheme, just everything, it had been a mess a lot of times. And it would just be so crazy to see the step back that not only Marlon Humphrey, but a lot of other players took under this scheme, this Zach Orr scheme. We see Roquan Smith over the past 2 years. It feels like he's been regressing. We saw guys like Marcus Williams, who I felt like was a baller when he first signed him. Then under Zach Orr's scheme, everything just went downhill, and our pass rush overall. But that's what with Jesse Minter, like that's the hope that I have for him and for this Ravens defense, that he can really help turn things around. And I really do think that's a huge part of why he was brought in, not just to obviously to turn the whole team around, but definitely with the defense. And with Marlon Humphrey specifically, last year was rough, but like you said, that pass rush, it was tough. Like you can't do anything if you out there for 8, 10, 15, 20 seconds. Sometimes I feel like the quarterbacks had like 5 minutes to throw the ball. But if you just really, you got to chase the receiver over and around and here and there and everywhere. And the pass rush just wasn't getting to the quarterback. So that could be a big factor in Marlon Humphrey just really getting things turned around for the better. Now with Marlon Humphrey, we talked about how he was drafted in 2017. Yeah. Which is crazy, man. It feels like he's been around even longer, because just the following year we got Lamar Jackson 2018. That's crazy. But speaking of the draft, Eric DeCosta brought up the draft just at pick 14, which they got the last time they had pick 14, they got somebody who was pretty good, man. Yeah. That being super duper Kyle. Kyle Hamilton, he's like, in a different way, in my opinion, he's like the defensive version of Lamar Jackson, because he's just that good and he just keeps on getting better. And just when you think, all right, we done seen everything that Kyle Hamilton can do, he shows you something else. He shows you something different. He shows you something new. He makes this crazy kind of play. Kyle Hamilton is just so great. And with Eric DeCosta, I appreciated when he was speaking about Kyle Hamilton today. And he said when they drafted Kyle Hamilton, he said, I didn't know he was going to be this good. We didn't know he was going to be just this great of a player. And he just talked about his smarts. He talked about his intelligence, his playmaking ability. And it just made me really, really glad that deal got done last year. Because
it's not bad either.
No, it's not.
It's a steal.
So, man, but it's Kyle Hamilton, man. It's in my opinion, the best safety in the. I'm glad that that's done. So how you feeling about what he said about Kyle Hamilton and just really sticking at pick 14? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I feel good because he said we're probably still going to go best player available at 14, which no surprise. But he said we're not taking a safety, which was music to my ears. I mean, we just drafted Starks and Kyle, and we've just been investing so much. I even went back in a video I dropped yesterday and dissected Eric DeCosta's free agency periods every offseason since he's been a GM. And the big swings that he always took is safeties. Like, we gave a massive contract to Earl Thomas in 2019. That was his first deal. And then we swung again with Marcus Williams, which did seem to work for a year or so, but that ended up not being worth it. And then, now we're drafting. Obviously, Kyle's more than worth it. And I think Starks is going to elevate too. I think he's a great player, put in a ugly situation last year. And with Minter, I think you'll see them blossom more. So I do like that. He said we're not taking a safety at 14, which makes sense. So we're going best player available, but not safety. And I think you should go best player available, especially at 14. Obviously, you can fill some needs as the draft goes. You can weigh positions and stuff, but at 14, and that's why free agency is important too, because that's first before the draft, and you really want to be able to fill a lot of these holes before the draft so that you have that freedom at 14. If we absolutely need a guard still when we hit the draft, then we might be feeling like we need to take a guard at 14. But I'd rather be in a position where we maybe sign a vet guard in free agency and we have freedom at 14, because then you just take the guy who falls. We didn't necessarily need Kyle Hamilton that year that we drafted Kyle Hamilton. Like, that seemed like a luxury pick, like, oh, another safety, even though this is like a freak who's falling. We're taking another safety, and it's like, now it's like, how could you not do that? You know, like, looking back, it was like, thank God we drafted Kyle Hamilton at 14. So it might be that guy who falls that you might not necessarily need, but he's just the best player. He just shouldn't have fell to 14. I think that's who the Ravens take. And I think that's a good strategy at 14, as long as you filled some of the other holes. And I feel comfortable, Eric DeCosta, saying we're not taking a safety. We do not need to draft a safety at 14. We have our future safeties. It's Starks and Kyle. We can sign, Ardarius or somebody like that to fill in some depth, but like, no more first round picks at safety right now. Let's build. Let's get to the quarterback. Let's protect Lamar. That's priority for me.
Yeah, it's all about the trenches right now, man. Real quick, shout out to Simply and Sutton. Purple Rain Podcast just dropped 5 channel memberships.
Let's go.
So appreciate y'all, man. Thank you for coming through, and thank you for doing that for Team Keep It Clean, man. Y'all, I appreciate everybody up in here on the streams, on both streams, on Flock Rundown stream over here with us too. Thank y'all, because this stream was really unannounced. This stream was super random, but y'all still came through and showed love. So we both appreciate y'all like crazy. So thank you for doing that. Now, somebody who's been on the Ravens for past, like 3? That's been 4 years already? No, I think just 3. But he's been showing love to Ravens flock a lot of the time. He always got a lot to say, especially in those pregame speeches. That's Roquan Smith. And with Roquan Smith, his contract, it has been a big topic of conversation, because there's a lot of Ravens fans that are for Roquan Smith. There's a lot of Ravens fans that are not necessarily the biggest fans of Roquan Smith. Where I stand on it with Roquan is I do feel like his play has declined, but there's something still there. And the reason I say that is because in week 2 of this season, Roquan Smith, in my opinion, he had his best game ever as a Baltimore Raven.
Right after Ray gave him a speech.
Yeah, against them Browns. He had, and I was hoping like after that, hey, hopefully Ray Lewis could be in the building for every game. So if we're going to get that version of Roquan Smith, but that man had his best game ever since he been here. But after that, it was just back to norm. And I feel like he's regressed over these past 2 years for sure. But like we talked about earlier, I wonder, and what I'm hoping it is because of the scheme. I'm hoping that that's the reason, and hopefully on the Jesse Minnis scheme that Roquan, he ends up just blossoming. He ends up taking off. But EDC, he talked about the possibility and just the conversation. He said there hasn't been conversations with Roquan and his people yet, but do you feel like they should or might, that they could end up restructuring Roquan Smith's his deal to free up a little money here and push it down the road a little later? But do you think they should keep things as is with Agent Zero?
Yeah, I think I would like him to play at a lower number, but I don't want to mortgage the future too much, So like I think we have a lot of money this season, so it really just depends. Like, how aggressive do the Ravens want to be? Like, are they like going to be big spenders in free agency, which isn't always the case, but I do think with this much money, it seems likely that the Ravens do spend, and get a couple guys, maybe one big ticket guy and Linderbaum. Like, I think the Ravens are in that position. They can always free up more money with Roquan's contract. He's got a $32 million cap hit, which is way too high. I mean, like, he's not playing up to that number for sure.
Woo!
But 32 is crazy. Yeah, so that's why a restructure does make sense, but at what cost in the future, I guess, is what you have to weigh. And I think the key thing that Eric DeCosta said was we haven't talked yet about it, but like, it is there as an option. Because I was saying that last year. I was like, man, if we need to free up money, like Roquan's deal's sitting there that we haven't touched. It's not like Marlon's where we restructured it already, and it's hard to keep doing that. So I think it's a nice flexibility to have. And I agree with you. I think Roquan has something else in the tank. Maybe we don't get the prime Roquan that we first traded for, that you know, like the best version, but like how many linebackers can do what Roquan does on a consistent basis week in and week out? It's not a ton. Like I do think that there's a lot of experience there and knowledge, and maybe he regressed a little athletically. He's never been like incredible at coverage, but this is also going back to what we talked about earlier, where I think Jesse Minter's strength, and I heard this from his dad and people and the Chargers, and a lot of people are saying that his strength is putting guys in the right spots, understanding his personnel, and then developing the scheme and the calls around the best situations for those guys. And I just don't think that he's going to have certain guys hanging out to dry like we've been seeing. You know, there was a lot of times last year where Roquan's covering like the majority of the middle of the field. I mean, that's just a liability. You know what I mean? And that's not his strength. Like Roquan's gonna blow up runs and be a sure tackler. And yes, he missed some tackles last year too, but I just think if you put him in a better spot, you're getting to the quarterback faster, everything around you's moving together better, you're gonna see a way better version of Roquan than you saw last year. Like, I don't think the dude sucks. He just isn't probably playing up to a $32 million cap hit. So if we need money, if we want to be more aggressive, then we definitely should restructure. But we do have a lot of money without restructuring it. So maybe if they're not going to be insanely aggressive in free agency, you just keep it where it's at. Don't mortgage the future. But I'd like to see it at a lower cap hit. I mean, 32 is high.
Yeah, that's very, very high. Something that also has been very, very high in this live stream has been the love that y'all been showing. Hey, Godlike Creations, shout out to you for gifting the channel memberships on the Flock Rundown on Ryan's channel, man. So thank you. Shout out to you. That's real right there. Y'all really be coming through, man. Y'all really do. Y'all are the best. So we appreciate y'all supporting both channels. We should appreciate y'all just having fun in the comment section, because we see y'all having a party in the comments. So keep it going. Now, speaking of somebody who hopefully can keep it going, Nnamdi Madubuike. Still so many question marks with number 92 for the Baltimore Ravens. It has been one of the weirdest things. It has been one of the trickiest situations, and it just feels like it's just so much unknown, at least from us as fans standpoint. Within the organization, they just keep saying, hey, I can't speak on that. I'm not going to speak on that. When Harbaugh was here, he said, I'm not going to speak on that. EDC has been saying, I'm not going to speak on that. And now Jesse Minter, he's in on it too. I'm not going to speak on that. But it was, and I'm just trying to put two and two together. I may be reaching, but Nnamdi Madubuike, a couple of weeks ago, he had tweeted out, good news. So we all like, okay, Nnamdi, okay, let's go. What is it? And we ain't really get much after that. But Jesse Minter, in his press conference today, he said, oh, was it last week or the week before last? But he said recently that Nnamdi Madubuike, he was in the building. So if I'm just got on my purple tinfoil hat and I'm thinking about what Nnamdi Madubuike tweeted, what Jesse Minter just said today at the press conference, and I'm trying again. I may be reaching here, but it's okay. I don't mind. And I'm putting the two together. I'm hoping that he can be back, hopefully. But how do you feel like the Ravens should even address the entire Nnamdi Madubuike ordeal? Because somebody suggested something to me. My guy, I forget his name right. Augusto. He said that he feels like the Baltimore Ravens should approach the whole situation as if Nnamdi Madubuike is not going to play. And hey, they may have to do that anyway. Hopefully not. But meaning they should still address the interior of the defensive line. But if he can play, hey, you got him back, and that's even more depth. That's a bonus. Great. He said they shouldn't necessarily wait on Nnamdi Madubuike and whatever his news ends up being moving forward. And obviously they have a lot more information than we do. But how do you feel they should handle this whole situation? And what do you even think is going on with this whole thing?
Yeah, that's a lot there, man. I think I agree with that. They should move forward as if he's not there, but they probably know. You know what I mean? So that's another like interesting wrinkle is like we're saying this from a distance, but like they have way more information that they just can't publicly put out there. And the cryptic tweets from Nnamdi recently are positive. Like you said, good news. And then right after that, like 4 days later, he said, you either quit or keep going. They both hurt. Choose wisely.
Yep.
I mean, like you're putting out these cryptic messages that to me seem positive. And then that he's in the building. He was in the building recently, Minter just said. So there's definitely some positive things there. I don't think you can replace him in period. I mean, especially in free agency, there's no like big interior D tackle free agent. I mean, you could go like a John Franklin Myers or somebody like that, but that's still like way lower than Madubuike. So I think you could still fill out depth there because we were super thin last year when we lost Madubuike. Like Travis Jones played way too much. John Jenkins had to play way too much. Like they didn't expect that to happen. And then we kind of were like, oh, shoot, like, what are we going to do? These guys are thrown into now. You got Travis getting double teamed consistently, and it just affected everything. So you can't really address it in free agency. I do think if best player available at 14 is a D tackle, you go that route. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it hurts to have a young guy there. And you never know, even if Madubuike does come back, like what if he gets hurt again or something like that, God forbid. So like, I think it's important to make sure you do have depth there regardless. But I also think that they know more, so they're going to be able to really handle this moving forward. And what we've heard from the coaching staff so far, and it's not a ton, but like just nitpicking, I watch every single interview. So like Weaver in the Lounge podcast was talking about, Minter was talking about Madubuike, and they all go to, well, last year really hurt due to Madubuike's injury, but we like love the room and we love what we have right now. And it seems like they're leaning towards, just read between the lines, that they might think he's there. You know what I mean? Like it seems like they're speaking positively about the room. And they were saying that a big reason last year why we didn't succeed in the pass rush department, we need more edge help for sure. But I do think the Madubuike loss crushed us. Like there's no doubt about that. It crushed our run defense for a little bit. And then also it affected the edges, you know, it affected us getting to the quarterback. So they seem to act like that problem's like over. Like that's what the coaches, by talking, it seems like, oh, that was last year. Like we're confident now. And with his cryptic tweets, I'm getting optimistic, but I have no freaking clue what's going on. He obviously has a serious injury that he needed a lot of medical opinions on. And I think, you know, the Ravens know what direction he's going to go. They just can't talk about it because he needs to talk about it because it's private medical information, you know, like HIPAA laws or whatever is holding them back. So yeah. So I'm actually feeling a little bit better than I was. Like last year, I was like, oh no, like listening to everyone talk, like he's going to have to talk to you guys. We don't know. We can't say anything. And like, but now you're seeing positive things from Madubuike and you're hearing optimism from the coaches about him. He's got a $32 million cap hit that we got to pay regardless. So like, I'm praying he's here. Cause if not, we're just paying him a ton of money unless he retired, but he's not going to do that. So like,
he gonna walk away from that money.
Yeah, exactly. So he's going to keep getting opinions and try to recover and get paid, you know? So like, I'm praying he's good and can go, you know, but I don't know, man. I don't think anyone really knows.
Yeah. It's up in the air, man. It is just, I think that is I don't want to call it a crazy situation, but it's just the most like, not even necessarily a weird situation, but that's just, it's an interesting situation happening surrounding the Baltimore Ravens with Nnamdi Madubuike, because again, like you talked about, they got all the information. They know whatever the direction is right now, and we are just waiting. Been waiting since during the season, been waiting since after the season ended, and we still waiting right now. So we'll see how things go. But I appreciate you, Ryan. Again, thank you for joining us. Thank you for making this happen. Again, y'all make sure, if you ain't done it already, hopefully you have done it by now. I mean, we 55 minutes into this stream. Hopefully you done it by now. You've subscribed to the Flock Rundown, Ryan's YouTube channel. And also you left a like on the video from wherever you're watching. If you're watching over here, then leave a like on this video. Then head over there and leave a like on his stream. If you're watching from over there, leave a like on his stream. Then come over here. You can leave a like on ours too, and make sure you subscribe to both channels. But Ryan, what you got coming up? What you working on the channel? Let everybody know where they can find you. All of that good stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. Everybody watching on my channel too. I know you know who Ingraven is, but if you don't for whatever reason, then go subscribe and show love to him too, man. I think this collab is awesome, bro. This is fun. But yeah, Flock Rundown, just dropping daily content, pumping, growing the short channels too, like TikTok, Instagram, all that. But YouTube's where it's at, man. Like long form episodes, I think is the best way to consume what's going on. And then doing like once a month members only lives too. So trying to just provide value with that. Got one coming up Thursday at 7.
Okay.
But yeah, just dropping daily Ravens content, man. Just love talking about the team and making cool videos. So, you know, following in Ingraven's footsteps.
No.
Yeah,
those footsteps too small to follow in, man. So you trample all over those footsteps, man. Like I said earlier, you the head coach. I'm just the offensive or defensive coordinator.
You're being humble.
But no, I appreciate you. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate all y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. We appreciate y'all taking the time, whether you're on a lunch break, whether you're chilling at the house, you're in school, you're at work, you're doing whatever. Thank you all for coming through and showing love. So on that note, this was fun. We had a great time, but we are out.
The flock flies to the wise, it's a wonderful thing. Look what vision and commitment and some discipline brings. When 8 becomes 1, the mood swings and the flock sings for another ring. Man, we tuning in to Ingravenvids and that scene tonight. Team keep it clean, hold it down, the sparks with